I'm caps lock different. It's facts, not fiction. Said I black out for real, then the track gone missing. If it's cap, I'm dipping. We ain't talking about a move, then it's flatline finished. When I spaz, I'm grinning. Put a peel off in the Sadies and I pass by spinning. It's perks with this life, but I don't have my skinnage. Took a quick trip and now I'm back home winning. And I see they eyes pop like I snack on spinach. Pull up to the spot, she tryna grab my digits. I'm already 8 shots, a Henny past my limit. Here you go. Hazards with a dash full of tickets. I'ma act like I don't see them. I got bad eye vision. Y'all can't pass my scrimmage. While y'all tripping, it's Aruba. I realized I had to go and flip.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 245 of Psychotic and Iconic. Paul's here along with my co-host Nick Theories and Philly Phil. Tonight we have special guest Sam Njoku from the Ravens Talk podcast joining us. What's going on, my man? How are you?
What's
going on, guys?
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate it.
Live from Vegas too. Just learned that 5 minutes ago. So Nick, how do you want to start out tonight?
Well, I want to start off with Sam and how he got, into the Ravens Talk podcast. Like, what made you start the podcast, and were you always a Ravens fan growing up?
Yeah. So being from Baltimore, born and raised in Baltimore, obviously, we didn't have a football team until 1996. I was born in 85. So there was like a small transition where I was like a 49ers fan for 1 year, and a Packers fan for 1 year, just enjoying the quarterback play. But then once the Ravens came to Baltimore in 96, I was just fully invested with the Ravens. I actually went to school to be, I went to pre-med. I did pre-med in college. I didn't have any inclination of being a writer. I enjoyed writing novels and things of that nature, essays or what have you. And once my undergrad career was over, I wanted to take a slight break to kind of look at other opportunities, if you will, in the medical field. And I had a literary agent who I was working with when I was working on a novel, and he told me that his buddy, an editor, was looking for a sports writer, particularly for the Baltimore Ravens. And obviously being a fan of the team, it gave me a great opportunity to go in there and get to work. So I did that, worked with examiner.com, now defunct. That website's now over, but I worked with them for a few years. A lot of my content from that website went to CBS. CBS would use my articles for their Ravens content. They loved me so much that they just brought me in full time to be their digital content creator. I did that until 2017. And then I took a step back and decided to go back into the medical field. Went and got my doctorate degree in pharmacy. And in 2020, a guy by the name of Todd Karpovic, who was once with Sports Illustrated, was looking for some more Ravens writers to help cover the team. I threw my hat in there, showed him my old CBS stuff. He loved it enough where he gave me an opportunity. I did that for a year with Sports Illustrated. And then a lot of fans throughout the years have been asking me to do a podcast, get in there. My takes were very spicy in some regards, very unfiltered, as you guys probably know. So that gave me enough ammunition to finally just pull the trigger and get started with the podcast in 2021, 22. And I've been doing it for about 3-4 years now. And it's been great. I've enjoyed it. I've got a lot of connections now, a lot of friends that I've met along the way. And, we're continuing to grow and build them in different shows, not just my own podcast, which I'm very fortunate to be a part of. So it's been a very thrilling ride, and hopefully it continues for more years.
So this is full time for you?
Yeah, well, no, because I still do my medical field stuff on the side. It helps, pay for all this. It's not cheap to do all this, but it is another side hustle, I would say. Something I could do full time if I wanted to. But shout outs to the people that do it, because it is a lot of work. But I do still have that medicine passion that I do. Healthcare is a big thing for me, so I do that full time as well. And then afterwards, I start the football journey.
That's dope, man. No, your story is very unique. Like, I feel like your bite of the apple is much different than what it is today. Like, your success, right? Like, you became a writer. Like, a lot of people now become successful through the internet in terms of videos and content, like we're doing now.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. Like, your story is very unique, and it's definitely honorable, man. Definitely, that's crazy. You have some great experiences with CBS and everything. That's awesome, man.
I was just gonna say
that's invaluable stuff.
His is all eloquent. Ours was, we were on a FaceTime stuck in our houses during COVID, and Nick calls me. He was like, "Yeah, I want to start a podcast," and I'm like, "All right." And he's like, "No, I'm dead serious." And 6 months later, we went out and bought equipment, bought a table and everything, and that's really how it started, because we were bored on talking on FaceTime constantly about, we've been friends since the 4th grade. So we've been talking about sports forever, just not on a camera. So
I could see I can see the relationship blossom on
and then
film.
we were literally on a group chat FaceTime and during COVID in that summer or that spring, whenever it was. And he's like, let's start a podcast. I'm like, okay. And
awesome.
that's exactly how it was. So going into the Ravens, the first question I want to ask you right off the bat, was this year Lamar Jackson, was that your most painful playoff loss as a fan?
No, not even close. I think my mindset going into this season, after losing to the Kansas City Chiefs in 2023 in the AFC Championship, which in my opinion is probably tied for not the worst loss and most certainly the second most loss in the franchise. My expectations were high, but once I saw the play of the defensive backfield, the safeties that they had back there, and the amount of work that they had to go through to shift to become a decent defense, I had no expectations for this team to make it to the postseason. I had my reservations. I thought the Ravens were going to beat the Bills in the divisional round, no doubt about it. But defeating the Eagles in the Super Bowl, I just didn't see it happening. So I wasn't as disappointed with the loss. But certainly the Chiefs' loss in 2023 is one that I think stings the most for the franchise because they for sure were the best team in the league. And I think the loss in 2011 against the Patriots, when Billy Cundiff missed that field goal after the Lee Evans drop, that was probably the most painful one for fans because they didn't know when they were going to get a shot at the championship. Luckily for them, they got it the next year, but at that time, that was very painful. But
isn't that
2024 was bad.
As fans, you could always point to like really painful losses with your team. Like for Eagles fans, I think everybody can remember Rondé Barber running down the sideline.
Oh yeah, and then going like this in the back,
pointing at his jersey.
Pointing at his jersey.
You just think of shit like that, and it's just funny because it sticks with you forever.
Forever.
So, like I haven't heard Billy Cundiff's name since probably 2011.
I would say another loss too that was heartbreaking for a Ravens fan had to be 2014 too, because the Patriots came back twice down 14 in that game.
That's number 3.
Is that number 3 for you?
That's number 3 for sure.
Okay.
The secondary was terrible that year, but the way no one thought the Ravens were going to have a chance in that game, and to be up by 14 points twice and still lose was definitely painful. And I thought that they had a shot to win it. So
they definitely had a shot. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they had some brutal losses over the years, though, man.
Yeah.
Now, would you say that? All right, so let's get into it. Like going into this year, what is the one team that you fear the most in the AFC?
In the AFC,
and why?
It's probably the Bills. I'm not concerned with the Chiefs as much as many would think, just because there's so many holes in that team all around, and they haven't done a really good job of building around Patrick Mahomes, and we don't really criticize them enough for it because they always find a way. But I think the Ravens have a good shot of beating them. The Bills, on the other hand, they just seem like they're in the same position that the Ravens are. They're right there. They're trying their best to get over the hump. For them, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. For the Ravens, it's just the postseason in general. It doesn't matter who they're playing in the postseason. It could be the Bills, could be the Chiefs, could be the Browns. For all we care, it's just getting over that hump, that postseason hump. Something that the Ravens really didn't have problems with prior to the Lamar Jackson era. They really did a great job with Joe Flacco of winning games they probably even shouldn't win. So I think that's what it is for the Ravens. The Bills probably, given them that they lost in the divisional round last year, probably gives them the most difficult chance of probably making the Super Bowl this year.
Nick, I want to jump in real fast. A mention about Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco to me is like one of the most underrated playoff performing quarterbacks of all time. If you go look at Joe Flacco's playoff runs and his playoff numbers, he elevated like into an elite quarterback when the moment mattered during those playoff runs. Like I still remember the bomb to Torrey Smith that he threw the Super Bowl year. And that was like the throw that I remember of, like, that was like, oh, it was destiny. It was to happen because Torrey Smith, I remember he still had the dreads.
Yeah.
So, but go ahead, Nick. So I just wanted to jump in and say that because I was a Joe Flacco fan back in the day.
Nah, I'm actually shocked that you said that the Bills were the most scariest team for you for the Ravens, as opposed to the Chiefs, because like I feel like the Chiefs, to me, they always have a pretty good defense. So if they could just play somewhat competent offense, like they always do. I feel like, to me, like this year, with them being healthy, with Rashee Rice coming back, Hollywood Brown coming back, Xavier Worthy in his second year, and Travis Kelce still there. Like I feel like they still have that offense intact. Like I feel like they're going to find ways to put up 25 or more a game, and they're going to win a lot of football games because their defense is so stout. So like I feel like to me, like Kansas City would be the more scarier team because I feel like the Buffalo Bills tend to fold defensively in the playoffs. Like I feel like Lamar outplayed Josh Allen in the last game they played, even though the Bills won. I feel like Lamar played a little bit better. If you take out like the turnovers, Josh Allen didn't really have a really that good of a game.
Agreed.
He had 127 yards passing, and that was good enough to get them 27 points. So the turnovers is what really killed the Ravens. Like I feel like to me, like the Ravens are more equipped to beat the Bills, in my opinion. Than
It's
they
hard
are
because like I feel
Chiefs.
like for me, like it's so hard because I feel like Josh Allen's always ready to go unless it's the Chiefs. Like for some, it's just one of those like weird phenomenons that you can't say. Like what he just said was 100% right. For Josh Allen, he can't beat the Chiefs. For Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, unfortunately, it's like when they get to the playoffs, it's like, are they going to have one of those random games where they just put out a stinker and you're looking at them and you don't understand what's going on? Like, and the reason that I mentioned in the beginning about painful losses was because I'm a big Lamar Jackson fan. And I know he had the 2 turnovers in the game. I get it. But for me, he led them down the field on that drive, 70 yards and was 5 of 6, I believe.
88 yards.
88 yards. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he went 88 yards. I think he was 5 of 6 or 5 of 7. He shred them up and down the field, threw the dagger touchdown, and it's like you throw that ball right in Mark Andrews' hands, and it's like, oh my God, you're cursed. Yeah, it's just like, I can't even imagine being like. Could you imagine if that happened in Philly?
Yeah.
Like if Dallas Goedert would have dropped that ball from Jalen Hurts.
Ooh, it would have been a lot. Yeah, he would have to leave.
He's done.
Yeah, it's no doubt he's not coming back. I tell you that.
Yeah,
it's a different.
The Ravens fans are trying to kick Mark Andrews out. Still, there's a lot of Ravens fans who are still bitter about it. I
understand it.
I mean, yeah. What do you think about that?
So I mean, I know the Ravens are trying to trade Mark Andrews. I mean, that's just a fact. The Ravens are trying to trade him. They had. Yeah, for sure. I don't want anyone to, say that they didn't. If the Ravens come out and say they weren't trying to trade Andrews, they're lying to you. I just have sources that I know they were actively taking in calls for trades. For
Andrews. Not for nothing. You can make a legitimate argument that Isaiah Likely is just as good, if not better, at this stage.
Yeah, and he's going to. I mean, all of our tight ends, all 3 tight ends are in the last year of their contract. Next year, there will be no tight ends under contract for the Ravens. So the Ravens have a decision to make. Everyone believes Isaiah Likely is going to be brought back and Mark Andrews will be let go. The Ravens are looking for a day 2 pick. Our third tight end, Charlie Kolar. Okay. He's more of a blocking tight end, but he's has improved as a possession receiver as well in that regard. But I think that the Ravens were looking for a day 2 pick for Mark Andrews. No one was biting. Everybody was trying to give him a day 3 pick, so they'll keep him. He's still great in the red zone in the regular season. In the postseason, he's a different tight end. Fans are just tired of his lackluster performance in the postseason, and that's why they want to get rid of. Obviously, the drop is magnified. I'm more upset about the fumble that occurred the drive prior to the touchdown.
The fumble sucked.
Yeah, this fumble was crazy because he was trying to make something happen when he just needs to get down. The conditions were terrible. Fall down, and it's a different story in my opinion. So he has a chance to rectify it. So I'm happy for him. He's a great guy. I think everybody loves Mark Andrews here in Baltimore, who isn't upset about the loss, obviously, but I think he'll have his last ride. This is his last year in Baltimore for sure, no doubt about it. And hopefully it culminates in the championship.
Do you think he's washed?
No,
he's on the downslope of his career, or no?
Yeah, I think he's as good as he's going to get right now. Maybe a step slower. He's still really good at finding the open hole in the zone. He's still really good at grabbing that touchdown in the red zone over people. He's still that tight end. He hasn't declined like Travis Kelce. He's obviously not as dominant as I think George Kittle. I think George Kittle is one of the best tight ends in the league. But I think that there's going to be a team that's going to pay him good money. He's going to be good for another 2 or 3 years. He's definitely not in the downslope. He's definitely a top 5, top 10 tight end in the league for sure.
I like that.
What's a team on the top of your head right now that's a great destination for him?
Philly.
Chargers were actively pursuing Mark Andrews this offseason. I thought for sure that the Dolphins were going to take a stab at him, but it's clear that the Dolphins are rebuilding somewhat.
Speaking of the Dolphins, I need to know your thought on the Darren Waller signing.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Okay.
My only thing is maybe they were in the weeds thinking about it before trading Johnny Smith to the Steelers, and that's I guess Darren Waller approached him or something. I don't know. It's
I think
weird.
it's
We'll
troubling.
see. Yeah, it's definitely tells me that they're not trying to win this year.
Mark Andrews on the Chargers would be awesome.
Yeah, that's a great
I
fit,
love that.
man.
Could you imagine? He'd be perfect for Herbert and Lad McConkey.
And Will Dissly.
Yeah. Will Dissly.
I fuck with Will
We
Dissly.
have this weird love affiliation with Will Dissly. We think like Will Dissly can actually play, and he's not like garbage.
He's all right.
Will Dissly.
He's all right. He's all right. No, but I agree with you, man. Like that would be a great fit. Wow.
Yeah,
I think he'll be a Charger next year.
Oh, you think he goes there next year too?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, he does. I mean, come to think of it, he is he reminds me of somebody who would be a Harbaugh guy.
Yeah, no doubt. Wow, that would be a great move. Now, speaking of moves, what was like one free agent acquisition that the Ravens had this offseason that really stuck like with you? Like that you were like, I love this signing or I hate this signing?
Ooh, not really sure about the Cooper Rush signing. I get it. If Lamar Jackson goes down early, they'll need a quarterback that they can depend on to win multiple games. And there's not really a lot of those out there for the picking. The Jair Alexander signing, I absolutely love. I think it's going to be the one that catapults them to the next level, especially because their starting safety got injured towards Achilles prior to the season, Darius Washington. So it's going to be a lot more Kyle Hamilton and Malachi Starks in the backfield. Not much of, Kyle Hamilton being that slot corner blitzing safety. I don't think there'll be much of that. And Jair Alexander being that boundary corner helps them out a ton in that regard. They don't have to lose the teeth of their defense with Kyle Hamilton being back there because they have a guy in Jair Alexander who can play multiple positions and be that guy.
Do you think the Jair Alexander signing put any like added pressure on the Ravens as a whole or Lamar to get it done? Because I think their pass defense last year was ranked like 31st. Yeah. Now that's going to improve immensely immediately starting week one because you have a lockdown corner when he's healthy.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, if he were to stay healthy the entire year, how much pressure do you think that puts on? I mean, just Harbaugh, Lamar, the team overall, just because of, like I said, now there's not really an excuse. You have your run game with Derrick Henry. You have Zay Flowers, who's up and coming. You have Likely and Andrews.
It's the pressure's crazy. I mean, you mentioned John Harbaugh, which is a great point. I had a show with former Ravens wide receiver Qadri Ismail, and he mentioned it. John Harbaugh is under fire. I mean, he is on the hot seat because.
And it's crazy to say that because I know he's a great coach.
He's a great
coach, but it can wear thin after year after year after kind of doing the same shit, like, or not the same shit. It's just you keep coming up short. Yeah, like you just keep coming up short. It's kind of like, you know what I mean? You're not going to get rid of Lamar. He's too talented.
Exactly.
So it's like, who's next on the chop? You already changed your offensive coordinator, and Lamar's shown that he can operate in a pass-first offense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, at that point, it's kind of like slim pickings now, where it's like, all right, Harbaugh, it's time for you to outcoach the counterpart.
Exactly. That's what it is. It's going to be up to Harbaugh. If he doesn't make it, I mean, this team is the best team in the AFC. If you don't make the Super Bowl, barring crazy injuries, the seat is as hot as it's going to get, because that's 3 years in a row you've wasted the prime of perhaps one of the most dynamic quarterbacks to ever play the sport. And yeah, the clock's ticking. I mean, he's only going to get older. He's only going to lose opportunities. But one thing you mentioned that I really like is that this team is going to turn into a passing offense eventually. I think once Derrick Henry's time is up in Baltimore, they're really trying to shift to this 3 wide receiver set look. We saw with the acquisition of DeAndre Hopkins. They really want to get Lamar Jackson in that spread offense that he had back in Louisville. So I think it'll be interesting to see where they go from here.
For the Hopkins signing, like, I know he is old, but I think that's an underrated move for the Ravens, because I think that he can be a really good role model to players like Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers, young guys that have a lot of talent, and you could learn from somebody like Hopkins.
Yeah, I think that, the only negative I have with the Hopkins signing is that he's going to do a lot of the things that they ask of Mark Andrews. So it's going to be a situation where you're going to have potentially multiple drives where Mark Andrews is on the field and Hopkins isn't. Hopkins is on the field and DeAndre Hopkins isn't. So you have to have a situation mostly in the red zone where you might want to have Hopkins and Andrews on the field at the same time, but they're going to be asking Hopkins to do a lot of things that Andrews does. Maybe that's for the best. Maybe that's going to pay dividends because I think Hopkins is a dynamic possession receiver and it gives them opportunities. Lamar loves to throw in the middle of the field, so that will give the Ravens another weapon to work with. I like the signing for sure.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think Hopkins is gonna have much of an impact.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't. Like I feel like when I watched him last year with the Chiefs in that Super Bowl, he looked way.
Oh no,
washed,
I wasn't
bro.
saying it like he's going to have like 800 to 1,000 yards. I was saying just presence.
Veteran presence for
Yeah,
sure.
to help-
yeah,
help the guy,
absolutely.
help
But
the
I'm
guy,
talking about production on the field. I don't think he's gonna be like. I don't think he's gonna be a world beater at all.
Oh no. I think he's past that.
Yeah, like
also,
I don't think like I just don't feel like the impact is going to be there. Like obviously he's D-Hop, he's got size, got height, but I just feel like to me like when I watched his last game with the Chiefs, like he looked like he was done, and so I was surprised that he actually went to the Ravens right after that because I thought he was going to retire.
Oh, wow.
I'm dead serious.
I think 400
going to retire. Yeah, no doubt.
he looked washed.
He looked washed, bro.
But I think he
400 yards. You
Sorry.
don't see him getting 300 or 400 yards. You don't see that happening.
I mean, yeah, if that's his ceiling, great. If that's what they want to use him for, but I feel like for the Ravens to become a pass-first offense, you need more out of that position.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So like, I feel like they're going to need more production if they want to lean towards that way.
Well, no, he was saying in a few years, like once Henry runs out.
Oh
yeah.
Pass
Yeah,
first.
for
That's what he
sure.
was saying.
Yeah, okay, I got
like
you.
he wasn't saying this year. At least correct me if I'm wrong. You weren't.
No,
talking
you're
about
right.
this
Yeah,
year,
not
right?
this year. Not this year. It'll be
Okay.
a couple of years, 2-3 years. They'll probably make that shift.
Todd Monken, right, is the offensive coordinator.
Todd Monken. Yep.
Yep. Okay.
I mean, but with Lamar's passing season this year, like, how do you not become a little bit more balanced approach though? Like, I know you have Derrick Henry, and I get it, but 41 touchdowns and 4 picks. How do you not want to throw the ball more? You know what I mean? Like you should want to have like a more maybe a pass. Maybe you are a pass happy offense. Your quarterback has shown you have 41 touchdowns, but then you got Derrick Henry who could rush for 2,000. So it's like pick your poison, right? That's why I do agree with you. I do think that the Ravens, to me, are the better team, the best team in the AFC. Like I do believe that.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Better than the Chiefs?
Better than the Chiefs. Yeah, I do. I think they're just slightly better than the Chiefs, but I think the Chiefs they're up there. I think the Chiefs are number 2. But I think the Ravens right now are the best team overall. I do. If the Ravens play defense the way they did from week 9 and the rest of the season, they're going to be tough to beat. They're going to be tough to beat. And Lamar Jackson is damn good. And I just feel like, to me, like that whole roster is still intact. They got Derrick Henry quietly ran for almost 2,000 yards. The reason why he got overshadowed is because of Saquon. That's it.
Sam, it was so funny, man. We were talking about this. Nick, when were we talking about that? A few weeks ago, right?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
We got done an episode, and I don't know what we were arguing about. I think, it was right after we got done. We were arguing about
rankings.
Yeah, we were just arguing about like rankings back and forth, and we started laughing. And he goes, "Yo, do you know that Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 yards last year?" And I'm like, "Did he really?" And we looked it up, and I started laughing, and I'm like, "That was the most quiet feat I've ever seen. Something that's an incredible feat, like that I didn't hear of."
Yeah, it's Saquon.
Didn't hear about it, and it was the truth though. He just got overshadowed by Saquon, just like just playing out of this world. But by the same token, so did Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm still big on Saquon. I was at the Ravens and Eagles played each other in December last year, and I love what I saw from Saquon. And the Eagles' defensive front is insane. Even with the loss of Sweat, I am still a believer in the Eagles to potentially repeat as champions. They're just too good on both sides of the ball in terms of the fronts. I think it's going to be very difficult for anybody to beat the Eagles.
They're overwhelming.
It's almost impossible.
I said this too when we were talking about the Super Bowl. Like I said that was the first time that Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, looked like shook.
Yeah.
Like he knew there was nothing that he could do to get away from that.
And in their defense, they did have a guard playing tackle for them. That it would have made much of a difference, but I mean, he was running for his life the entire game. It was great for me. I mean, I love watching.
I loved it.
I loved it.
Yeah, I loved watching that.
I loved it.
So did I, man. I loved watching him get his.
That was a whole ass whooping, though. For real,
was.
that was an absolute beatdown.
Good for the Eagles. They deserve it. I'm sure. Good luck in the NFC East. The Commanders are going to be tough to beat. I like the Giants, believe it or not. I don't think they're going to be good.
For real?
The Giants?
I
They got
like the
a schedule,
Giants I like where they're headed. Do I think they're going to compete for the playoffs? No, I don't think so. But this is Brian Dable's last gasp.
Speaking of, what do you think about the Cowboys real fast? Like, do you think that they have any shot at winning the division, coming in second? Like, do you think that they're on par with the Eagles and the Commanders, or do you think that they'll be more in the 7-8 win range as opposed to that probably, health considered 12 to 13 range with Philly and Washington?
I don't think they're with Philly. They have a chance to fight with Washington, depending on what type of trajectory we see Jaden Daniels in. But it's all about Dak Prescott staying healthy. And even when he's healthy, that team just looked lost. I think Jerry Jones had a chance to get a running back and Derrick Henry and really make this team, decent, take some pressure away from Prescott.
Big mistake.
Huge mistake.
Huge mistake.
It cost them dearly. So I still think it's the Eagles division, obviously, followed by the Commanders and the Cowboys. But the Cowboys have a chance if they're playing perfect and they use Micah Parsons the right way, which they did not when the Ravens played them last year to really make an impact. But I think it's still the Eagles division and league until somebody beats them.
Yeah, I was shocked that you did say that about the Eagles too, with last year saying that even if the Ravens made the Super Bowl, you had no faith that they could have won.
No faith. I saw enough. Now, crazier things have happened. The Ravens did lose that game primarily because Rashad Bateman went down and I don't know, Deontay Johnson decided not to play. He got suspended afterwards. It was a whole thing.
That guy, man. That guy.
Kyle Hamilton got hurt
too, man.
That was his guy. That was this dude's guy.
Dog, man. He was dude, he's a beast. He's a beast when he has his head on straight.
Well, he's with the Browns now, so we'll see what happens. This is last chance. Yeah, but I
got a scenario for you. So you love the Eagles this year, right?
I think the Eagles are the team to beat in the NFL, but I think that the Ravens are also there. We'll see what happens. We'll see what the Eagles do.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
What's your take on Jalen Hurts? Like, where do you rank him, and like, how do you see him as a player?
I don't have him top 5.
Okay. Who is your top 5?
My top 5 right now is Lamar, no particular order. Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and then unfortunately, I have to push Jaden Daniels up there because he looked so good last year, but I'm afraid I'm going to fall in the same trap I did with CJ Stroud. So I hesitant number 5, but Jalen Hurts did everything right last year, and the last 2 games, the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl, was there a better performance ever in the history of the league than what we saw from Jalen Hurts? I mean, he looked phenomenal. Can he build upon that performance and be that guy? Who knows? They're going to have to lean on him more this year. We'll see what happens. But last year, I can't really fault him for being, pedestrian stat-wise because Saquon Barkley was just out of this world. But yeah, I'll put Jalen Hurts, maybe 6, maybe 7. He'll need to improve upon his performance in 2024 for him to put up a couple of steps up. But he did win a championship. He's the MVP in that regard for me. So we'll see.
So let me ask you a question. So if he goes back-to-back Super Bowls and he has the same stats this year, where do you rank him? Is he better than? Is he past Josh Allen's, the Lamar's?
He's in there, and honestly, I will put him above Patrick Mahomes in that case. I have Patrick Mahomes 4th out of the 4 quarterbacks. Wow. I do. I have him Patrick Mahomes number 4.
You know ball, bro.
Wow. He has regressed.
Ball, Sam.
Yeah.
For real, yo.
If we're gonna put Patrick Mahomes in that,
man.
I was so confused when he said that. When he said
I'm not confused.
I was no, I was just because I didn't. He said that, like for real.
Yeah,
I'm not confused. I understand. Go ahead.
Yeah, if we're gonna give the criteria for him being in the top 4 championships, that's basically what it is. Then if Jalen Hurts is winning championships, then that overtakes that, and his performance has been better than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes has regressed considerably. Some of it's not his fault, but still, the last 2 seasons, he has not been a top 5, even a top 10 quarterback. We give him the benefit of the doubt because he's Patrick Mahomes, obviously, but how many times are you going to have pedestrian seasons without, criticizing him for it? So if Jalen Hurts wins again, I'll put Jalen Hurts squarely in the top 4. I don't know where it'd be in that. Depends on how he performs, but 2 championships back-to-back definitely has you with my respect, for sure.
But that's what kills me, man, because people in the comments say, oh, well, he went back-to-back Super Bowls. He went to 3 Super Bowls in a row. But I'm like, he hasn't played all that well. And that was what I was saying. Like, I feel like Lamar Jackson has played better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes the last 2 seasons. I feel the same way Josh Allen, and I feel like Joe Burrow has too, but it just didn't translate to winning. Joe Burrow was awesome last year. Like out of this fucking world type of shit. You know what I mean? So like, but like Mahomes, he used to do that magic shit. Like he used to have like a different type of vibe. Like I could see like the last 2 years, he just looked different. He looked like a different quarterback. And he absolutely, like I saw regression. Like I 100%. And I feel like he should have been on the upward because he's in his prime. You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like, to me, I'm the same way as you. Like, I don't know about 4th, but I feel like that is a fair ranking because of the last 2 seasons. Like, I totally agree with that. Like, I'm with you, man.
I like Hurts to overtake him. If he wins a championship, and even if he plays the same way this year as he did last year, yeah, he's definitely top 5 in my opinion for sure. And for me, above Patrick Mahomes, especially if Mahomes plays the way he played last year and the year before.
It's actually, I just Googled this. Mahomes had 26-11 last year for 3,900 yards, like 27-14 for 4,100 yards the year before. Like,
Baker's been better.
Look at Caleb Williams' numbers.
Baker Mayfield has been better the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Like, no bullshit.
I mean, not for nothing, but everybody was dogging Hurts for having 18 passing touchdowns. He had 16.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 26, excuse me. So he had 8 more touchdowns. Like, that ain't, you're not setting the world on fire by that.
Hurts had way more rushing yards.
But
yeah,
he also has weapons too.
Fair.
Yeah,
I got you. Fair, but Patrick Mahomes also was throwing more. He was throwing more times per game. Where
he had to, though. They lost Rashee Rice. They lost some weapons on the outside.
Oh, they lost. Pacheco broke his leg.
He lost a lot this season. So we'll see. I think Mahomes is going to bounce back this year, though. Like, I do. I feel like he's primed to bounce back.
Sam? Do you believe that if you put Lamar, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, and Josh Allen with Andy Reid, they could have the same impact as Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would have to say yes. I think they would. I think there's a lot
if you want to take Hurts out of that, because I know Hurts isn't in a vacuum talent-wise. I know that the 4 main guys are Burrow, Allen, Lamar, and Mahomes, where drop them on any team, they're going to change your franchise immediately. Yeah. So just going by those 4 guys, do you think that Burrow, Lamar, and Allen, like, do you think that they're 2-time Super Bowl champions if they're with Andy Reid instead of Patrick Mahomes?
I do. I think Andy Reid plays a huge part in what makes Patrick Mahomes special. Not to take anything away from Patrick Mahomes. Now, could I just pluck Lamar Jackson and put him in the Chiefs offense and they ride off into the sunset? I don't think so. I think you really have to do a lot to tailor your offense to what Lamar Jackson is well. I think maybe more so Joe Burrow. You put Joe Burrow in that offense, yeah, Joe Burrow is he's winning multiple championships for sure, because that defense is what's winning them games. The defense headlined by Chris Jones is helping them get those championships. That's something Joe Burrow has never had.
Yeah, Joe. Joe Burrow is actually my favorite player in the league, second to Jalen Hurts. It's Joe Burrow for me, and then like Jalen Hurts and my Eagles. But I just feel like that defense and that offensive line, like he's got, like, the deck is so stacked against him within his own organization that I don't even expect them. I'd be shocked if they made the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I don't see them making it this year.
Thank goodness. It's hard because, are you scared of any team in the division? Like, I feel like within the division, like, the Bengals are a scary team because if they do get hot and their defense just improves marginally from last year, they'll be better. But how do you feel with that, with the Steelers now, with Rodgers and acquiring Ramsey and DK? Like, talk to me a little bit about that.
So I am a little nervous about Joe Burrow. I'll always be nervous about the Bengals because they have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and they destroyed the Ravens last year. I think the reason why Jamar Chase had that Triple Crown is because of the Baltimore Ravens. They just torched us last year. It was ridiculous. So I always had that respect for them, but their defense, they didn't improve it at all. They can't stop the run. And that's a huge part of what makes the Ravens great. So
they get a college coordinator too for their defensive coordinator. It's a college, ain't it?
I don't know his name, but yes, I believe they did. And it's going to be tough for them. The Steelers are intriguing because if Aaron Rodgers is even halfway, if he plays as good as he played last year, he's way better than what Russell Wilson was for the Steelers. He's way better than what they have a Kenny Pickett or anything like that. So that scares me. Their defensive front, I think, is the second best in football, second only to the Philadelphia Eagles. So that scares me. The Ravens' interior offensive line is not great. I think they're, in fact, very poor in Angie Voorhees and Daniel Falele. So if you got a guy in TJ Watt, if they end up signing him and getting him on the field, the way they can present problems for the Ravens is noteworthy. They struggled against the run in the wild card round, and it didn't look like they did much to improve upon that. So they'll have to work schematically to find ways to do it. But their secondary is scary. I know they got rid of Minka Fitzpatrick, and that's a plus for the Ravens because Fitzpatrick's always played the Ravens pretty good. But you got Ramsey on one side, you got Slay on the other side. I think there could be a problem, the Steelers. But the Ravens are still the best team in the league, in the division, I should say. But the Steelers could potentially pose some problems, maybe cost us a game or two. And every game counts. The Ravens lost in the divisional round of the playoffs because they played in Buffalo instead of playing in Baltimore. That's what they would have done if they had beat the Browns or the Raiders in the regular season.
That's oh yeah, because they started out what 1-3 or 0-2.
Yeah, they started 0-2. Yeah,
I forgot about that. They lost to the. I remember they lost that crazy game to the Raiders, didn't they?
Yeah.
The Raiders like came back at the end of the game in overtime or something, right?
Yeah, and we lost to Jameis Winston too with the Browns. So 2 winnable games.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that, man. That really is.
It makes a difference. Absolutely,
makes a difference.
Wow, I didn't think of that. All right, what did you, Nick? Anything you wanted to go to next on here?
Yeah, I wanted to keep talking about the quarterback rankings
because
I don't know where you have like who's number one for you.
I'm gonna be biased to say Lamar Jackson number one for me. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, but it depends. It depends on what your criteria is for. Is winning part of your criteria for quarterback play? If it is, then I don't think Lamar Jackson's number one. Is quarterback play your number one trait? Then obviously Lamar Jackson is. If it's a mixture of both, then maybe you put somebody like Joe Burrow ahead of everybody. I like Lamar Jackson at 1. I like Joe Burrow at 2, Josh Allen at 3, and Patrick Mahomes at 4. But it's really, really close. Last year it was clearly Lamar Jackson the best quarterback in the league, but next year it could be somebody different. Josh Allen could have more help. Joe Burrow can get more comfortable being the almighty. And you mentioned Patrick Mahomes getting Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown back. So that's my ranking for now. But again, it doesn't really matter. 1 through 4, they're all terrible.
What did you think about the MVP?
It should have been Lamar. I know there's some 50-50s here with everybody. It's clearly should have been Lamar. Okay, so here's my thing. If the voting happened after the postseason, Josh Allen deserves it because he beat the Ravens in the postseason. It makes the most sense. Josh Allen did work with less, but that shouldn't be an indictment on Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has such a crazy season, 41 touchdowns, 4 picks, that I had to give it to Lamar. I thought for sure he'd win it. But that doesn't say that Josh Allen doesn't deserve it. He definitely deserves it. He played his butt off. We'll see what happens this year, but Lamar Jackson was clearly the better quarterback last year.
Yeah, I felt like too. I said this before. I made this reference too. Like, to me, it was the equivalent of Joel Embiid winning the MVP over Jokic 2 or 3 years ago. Like, it was just he was playing great, and it was his turn to like finally get one. Like, Josh Allen did deserve to get one. It just sucks that the one he won just happened to be when Lamar Jackson had one of the best seasons we'll ever see by a quarterback. And especially Lamar Jackson, who's like one of the people who is kind of has a label of he's not a passing quarterback, which I disagree on. I think that he is underrated as a passer. And I've been saying that for the last few years. But it really does suck that happened. It just happened this year for him.
It does. I will say this. I will say that the gripe that Bills fans have to the criticism that Josh Allen is getting for winning the MVP makes sense in regards to Lamar Jackson didn't have the best statistical season last year, the year before when he won the MVP. So
exactly
that is why I get the gripeness with it. And it's hard for Ravens fans to, retort to that because it's a fair point. I mean, if you're going to, vote in one way one year, you have to vote the same way the next year. So in that regard,
I've legitimately said
hold
that.
on, wait a minute. Sam, I swear,
bro.
we have a reel somewhere. We're going to have to send it to you. We have to find it on our page. He was saying that. Me and him were screaming at each other, and he said that like verbatim.
Yeah.
For what you just said, that the criteria and the goalposts were moving for Josh to win his MVP, and they in the same retrospect to Lamar. but in comparison to last year.
I absolutely agree. I think the cutoff point for me is that his season was so great last year, and nobody really had a phenomenal season in 2023. Correct. And that's the only thing that you can really say. But in regards to if I'm pushing stats as the main factor to why I think Lamar Jackson to win it, then in 2023, when he didn't have the greatest statistical season and he still won it, then I don't really have much of a leg to stand on. But
I thought Dak should have won it in 23.
Dak should have won it in 23.
Dak, yeah, I was on board with that too, because I think Dak statistically was amazing.
He was unbelievable.
Yeah, he was unbelievable.
He was unbelievable that year. And like Sam alluded to a little bit earlier, if you're doing it after the playoffs, I could understand Dak not winning it because of how Dak went out.
Right.
But but it's a regular season award, and Dak that year, I mean, he was awesome.
Yep.
Dak was awesome. So that's how it should have went in 23. But
to me, I feel like the MVP trophy is kind of watered down. You know what I mean? I like at this point, Drew Brees never won an MVP, and that's fucking crazy, bro. He had 5,500 yard seasons. He was one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and has never won an MVP. And he's put up seasons that you couldn't believe.
Yeah.
If Drew Brees was putting up the stats that he wasn't today, he would be the number one quarterback in the league right now, statistically.
Oh yeah,
he was that good.
He was
unbelievable, and he's never won an MVP. But I feel like to me, it was because Peyton Manning was around. Aaron Rodgers was
Aaron
around.
Rodgers screwed him on his MVP
for sure.
The 5,500 yard year was the year.
Rodgers
15
was 14,
1.
Yeah, 15-1. So but to me, I feel like it's just watered down, man. Because like last year, I feel like that was when it was all right, Lamar won with 24 touchdowns passes, and it was that's not an MVP. You know what I mean? Because we've seen quarterbacks throw for 40 touchdowns, 5,500 yards, and not win the MVP, and it's what?
Yeah. I think he needed to validate it. He had to validate that MVP win with the Super Bowl trophy, and he fell short. So that's kind of the stigma that you have with it. Same with Josh Allen, in my opinion. I think if Josh Allen won an MVP award and he went on to the Super Bowl, even if he lost to the Giants, I still think they would have put a little bit of extra, sugar on that cake that he is the MVP. But it is what it is. I think it is watered down a little bit. I'm happy Josh Allen got it because he does deserve one. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the league. It's just, as a Ravens fan, I got to say Lamar Jackson has it. It'll be interesting to see what happens in week 1.
Who do you think has more to prove out of those two?
Oh, man, I think it's equal. I think it's
because I feel like they're very similar paths.
Yes.
I said this, we were talking about it last year, and I was saying I hated that those two played in the divisional round because I said one of those teams is going to lose, and that quarterback is going to be unfairly criticized.
Yeah. I think you got to give it to the Ravens because they lost in the divisional round. But truthfully, and it's crazy because Bills fans and Ravens fans, they are going at it neck and neck. They're the same person. They're the same team. They're two quarterbacks who are phenomenal, should be already having a championship under the belt, but don't, that are fighting for that recognition. So I think it's split down the middle. I think if you had to, put a gun in my head, I'd say Lamar Jackson because he failed to reach the AFC Championship again. But both quarterbacks have a lot to prove this year. I think for Josh Allen, he has to beat the Chiefs. He doesn't have to win the Super Bowl. He doesn't have to make it to the AFC Championship. He has to go to the playoffs and beat the Chiefs because that's the stigma on his head. For Lamar Jackson is just perform well in the postseason. You got the best team in the AFC, reach a championship.
Nick, what do you think about that? If do you think that it would mean more for Josh Allen to make an AFC Championship game or to beat the Chiefs in the wild card round? What do you think would be more important for Josh Allen?
To make the AFC Championship game?
Or beat Patrick Mahomes before the AFC Championship game?
Beat Patrick Mahomes, because I feel like once they beat them, they're going to go. Once they get over the hump.
Got you.
To be the man, you got to beat the man. And I always believe in that. So if they beat the Chiefs in the divisional round and they're going to the AFC title game, I know I'm putting a house on the Bills. Because they got that monkey off their back. They're ready. They're ready.
Free.
They're free. They know they can win the next game.
Yeah.
Because they've done it every single year. They're 0-4 against the Chiefs. Josh Allen is 7-6 in the playoffs. He's got 4 losses to the fucking Chiefs.
That's crazy.
That's insane. That
really is crazy.
He's 7-6 in the playoffs and has 4 losses to the Kansas City Chiefs. That's facts. But to me, it's I think Lamar has a lot of pressure because he hasn't performed well at all in the playoffs.
That's the problem.
At least Josh Allen, when you look at his numbers, they're unbelievable. He's got 25 touchdowns and 4 picks in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane shit.
Yeah.
And Lamar has got what, 10 touchdowns and 7 picks in
If that.
in
If
8
that.
games.
No, he doesn't even have that.
I think he has 10 touchdowns and 7 picks in 8 games. I believe so. I think that's the stat. To me, I think Lamar he has a lot of pressure because the
10 and
team, he's 10 and what?
10 and 7.
10 and 7, right?
Okay.
And he was 4 and 7 before. So he had 6 straight touchdowns.
Yeah.
I remember it was But to me, I think Baltimore is the more team that's the most pressure because they have a better team.
Yeah.
And
True.
B, Lamar Jackson hasn't played well in the playoffs, and that matters. It's going to matter. You could be a regular season quarterback all you want, but when you come to the playoffs, you have to perform.
So
you got to do it, man.
I will say this, though. One thing that I do like Lamar Jackson's first game against the Titans when they lost, the guy had over 500 yards of offense. Like, he couldn't help that Derrick Henry on the Titans was running the ball down his defense's throat. He had a touchdown and 2 picks, I believe.
Yeah, he didn't play well in the first half at all.
365 passing yards and 143 rushing yards. I Googled that today.
But that's because at the end of the game, they were getting garbage time.
Fair.
Yards.
And that's fair. It's
That first half, it's a beatdown.
Yeah.
Well, Sam will tell you. He saw the game with Titans.
Yeah, the Ravens choke in the playoffs under
Facts.
Lamar Jackson. That's just it is what it is. If you're a Ravens fan and you disagree, it's you're not being real with yourself. Under Joe Flacco, the Ravens don't choke. Under Lamar Jackson, the Ravens have choked.
Do you think it's more Lamar or do you think it's more John Harbaugh driven?
Both.
Choking.
I think John Harbaugh gets tight when it matters most, and I think Lamar Jackson either tries to do too much or just crumbles under the pressure of trying to get to a championship. The Dolphins game, I give it to him, he was the rookie. He was just a runner, really. That he was asked to run, and the Dolphins found the answer for it. The Titans game, it was on the defense, but he didn't play particularly well either. And that Bills game, I think he got injured late in the game and cost him the game.
Second half.
Yeah. But after that, he played decent against the Texans, struggled in the first half.
Yep.
Chiefs game, he played terrible. And Zay Flowers fumbled that ball, and I was at that game. Cost me thousands of dollars to get to that game. First AFC Championship in Baltimore, and the Ravens lose. And the Steelers game, it was just all Derrick Henry. He just ran through the throats of the Steelers. And then the Bills game in the first half, Lamar Jackson threw 2 turnovers. And that's really Lamar Jackson's postseason career in a nutshell. So he needs to get over the hump. He needs to stop choking. John Harbaugh needs to be a better coach in the postseason. He's been outcoached a plethora of times. Very recently, the Chiefs game, I've never seen a coach in the AFC Championship or any conference championship get outcoached as badly as John Harbaugh did against Andy Reid. So they need to do better. The pressure is on both of them. I think that for sure, if John Harbaugh fails to reach a championship this year, his seat's very hot.
What do you think about, in comparison, John Harbaugh and Sean McDermott? Because we talk about it on here a lot. Like, I feel like Sean McDermott routinely gets outcoached in big moments.
He does. Yeah, I think it's one and the same. I think the front office of the Ravens is better. So, John Harbaugh gets away with a lot, gets put in better situations. But when it comes to crunch time, when it's time to make a decision, John Harbaugh routinely has fallen short. Same with Sean McDermott. But I think John Harbaugh cannot afford to make a mistake this year. He just can't. Pressure's on.
Yeah, it's facts, man. Like to me, like to me, they're both choke artists.
Who?
Allen and Jackson. But the bigger one for me is Lamar. Like, you're a 2-time MVP. You had 2 number 1 seeds. You had one of the best defenses, almost his whole career. I think, except for last year, his defenses have been pretty fucking good.
They've been great.
So, to me, I feel like he's the bigger choke artist than Allen, because Allen, like I said, he performs in the playoffs. Whereas I feel like when the Bills lose in the playoff, it's because they get outcoached. Their defense looks like they can't hang with anybody, especially against the Chiefs. They just give up 1 billion yards at every third down. They're going to give it up. The Chiefs are going to keep going down the field. They can't stop them. So it's like that every single game. And Josh Allen has to put up ridiculous numbers to even compete with them. Because if Josh Allen isn't as good in the playoffs, they're losing by 30. Easy. That's what, you know what I mean? If the Bills punt against the Chiefs, they're in trouble. Whereas, and I said this on the last show last week, that if Jalen Hurts in the Super Bowl threw an interception and won by like 40, but Josh Allen doesn't commit a turnover and they still lose by 3 or 7 points. That's the difference that I have between Sean McDermott and a guy like John Harbaugh. Like to me, like I don't feel like John Harbaugh gets outcoached like that, in my opinion, compared to McDermott. I think McDermott absolutely nails the Bills every single fucking season.
Well, I think Harbaugh, you have more faith in because you've seen him actually get over.
He's won a Super Bowl. Yes,
yeah,
he's won a Super Bowl. Like
that's fair.
He's got some cachet to his name. Sean McDermott don't. You know what I mean? So it's like, to me, I have more faith in John Harbaugh than I do with Sean McDermott. Like when I know I'm playing against a John Harbaugh team, I know I'm getting a hard-nosed football team. They're going to play smart and they're going to play aggressive, and that's their style of football, right? They run the football and play great defense. That's what the Ravens do.
Yep.
When you play the Bills, you're playing against Josh Allen. How we stop Josh Allen? After that, there's no mystique about the Bills. Name one mystique about the Bills. There's nothing. When you play against the Bills, what are you thinking about? How the fuck do we stop number 17? There's no other mystique.
James Cook.
That's on the front office, don't you think? That's on the front office.
Oh, yeah, it is on the front office, 100%. But you know what I think it is, to be honest? I think the Bills are like a damaged organization. So I feel like the stability that Sean McDermott brings almost brings like a sense of comfort to them. Because he's a good coach. Josh Allen's good enough to get you there. But I in my opinion, I think they should get rid of McDermott and hire Joe Brady. I've been on that because I think that when they fired Leslie Frazier, when the Bills started out rough 2 years ago, in Diggs' last year, they put Joe Brady in there. Stephon Diggs started to get phased out a little bit already the back half of the season, and they were still competing and winning. And Josh Allen, similar to what they did with Daboll, you saw the turnovers did. And that's what I said. When you have 40 passing touchdowns and 32 turnovers, I don't care about the 40 touchdowns. But when you have 30 touchdowns and 10 turnovers, you could work with that. So I feel like Joe Brady, in my opinion, is the next man up for them. And he's an offensive guy. He's not a defensive guy.
They still need a front seven. Their front seven scares me. And against Isaiah Pacheco and Derrick Henry, it could be the reason why they don't make the championship again this year. If their front seven improves, the Bills. It'll be
he's a big Josh Allen guy, man. So he's John Harbaugh or Sean McDermott's been his hot button, as they keep getting beat in the playoffs, man.
If they lose this year, he's gone.
Yeah, because I think Josh Allen.
Do you believe that too?
Yeah, that's why I said in the clip.
What do you think that he needs to make a Super Bowl?
He has to be. The Bills have to make a Super Bowl for him to save his job. Anything less than that, he's gone. They could make the AFC title game, and he would still lose his job.
You think?
Yes, absolutely.
What if he loses to the Ravens?
What if it's lost to the Ravens?
It doesn't matter.
What if they beat they beat the Chiefs in the divisional round, but they lose to the Ravens in the AFC Championship game? Do you think he stays?
Gone. You got to get over the hump. You beat the Chiefs and you can't make it to the bowl still? You got a problem. Now you got two problems. Now you do. Because now you can't beat that team. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel you on that.
So to me, I think that's why I'm a Josh Allen guy. Like without him and without his heroics of what he does for the Bills, they have no chance. They don't have any Pro Bowlers barely on that team. The Ravens have Pro Bowlers at least, but the Bills don't have anybody. There's not their roster is mediocre. It's not that good. They're decent, but they're nothing crazy. Josh Allen makes that team, and if without his greatness, they're not even sniffing the fucking championship game.
Well, last year, the only year you could truly say that.
I'm talking,
20 to 23, they were legit.
He had Stephon Diggs. You can't name another player outside of Diggs that was.
My whole argument has been this year, what Josh Allen had on offense is what Lamar Jackson has had every year of his career. Mid-level guys.
But not the defense.
Not the defense.
But that's the difference, though. But that's been the difference between the Bills not making to the Super Bowl because their defense has been getting smoked in the playoffs.
From 20 to 23, though, Josh Allen had top 10 defenses. He had the first.
I'm talking about in the playoffs.
Yeah, but that's what they were.
Defenses. No, the Bills never had a top 10 defense. It was in top 10 in the regular season. I'm talking about. It never translated in like when the Eagles played in the playoffs and they had the number one defense all season. It translated to the Super Bowl.
Their defense got better in the playoffs.
But I'm talking about even the Chiefs. Chiefs. The Chiefs' regular season defense translated to the playoffs. Like, that's how they made it that far. Like, it translated. The Bills' defense doesn't translate because Sean McDermott doesn't make the correct move. He doesn't make any adjustments. He's the same vanilla head coach. He's the same dude. They do the same shit. He's already been figured out. Why do you think the Chiefs continuously put up 30 on him?
Yep. Because
they already know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? So it's like Josh Allen has to put up 35 and he could still lose. And that's the difference to me.
Yeah.
That's why I think he's the best quarterback in the league, because I don't think anybody could do what he could do. Truthfully. I think
if you swap Lamar
for that
on
team,
the Bills, I think they would be
maybe
that would be the only other player.
That'd be the only player.
And here's the thing: I don't think Josh Allen and Lamar it's a wide gap. I actually feel like they're pretty neck and neck.
Yeah,
I actually think that's a fair.
You just prefer
assessment.
Josh.
I just prefer Josh. I think Josh is better. I think he's better in bigger moments. He rises to the occasion where I've never seen Lamar rise to the occasion.
That's a fair assessment.
And I hate it. I hate it because I'm a Lamar fan.
It sucks to say.
I do. Like, I can't. We talked about this before a little bit, but it's like outside of the Bengals game for Josh Allen, that was his only really bad playoff game. That and the Miami
game,
which
I would say the Ravens game too. When they beat the Ravens this year. Yeah. I don't think that was the best. That was his best performance.
And the only other game that I hold against him was I do hold the Chiefs against him a little bit from this past year. Again, it's only because he had the ball to go down the field, but he played well that game.
Absolutely.
That dude didn't Dalton Kincaid drop the pass that would have?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I defended Josh Allen on was that dope Sean McDermott didn't even have their best offensive player outside of Josh Allen, which was James Cook. He wasn't even in the game on that last drive, which I don't even understand.
Insane.
It's the craziest.
That's a horrible move right there.
Yeah, it's things like that. So it's just, it's a crazy world for Lamar and Josh because their paths they're just like on a parallel line together.
Yeah.
And it's just like, unfortunately it's hard because if you're a Lamar guy, when it comes to the playoffs, you can't compete with the Josh Allen. You can't go back and forth with that because Josh Allen in the playoffs, his peak goes up. As to where Lamar a little bit, it's same level or you do see a little bit of a dip for whatever reason. I can't explain. I don't know. Like I said, whether is it choking, is it being out coached? Are you pressing?
All three.
I think the only way the Bills are going to get over that hump is the development of Keon Coleman. Like they need a wide receiver that can develop with Josh Allen. If they keep getting these misfits in there, they're never going to build a rapport together. You know what I mean? Like you have to have some camaraderie.
Oh yeah, they got Josh Palmer.
Yeah, they signed him to a 3-year deal.
No, he's an improvement.
Okay,
he's a decent wide receiver.
He's an improvement. Yeah, but like how much does he move the needle? That's what I'm saying. Like when I say get a wide receiver, I'm talking about like a Stephon Diggs impact.
Yeah, just not the same personality.
Right.
So and then hold on one second.
So what up, Sam? I got a question for you. What other predictions do you have throughout the season? Like coming up in the season, like Super Bowl. Who's your MVP? Who do you got?
I don't think Lamar wins MVP this year. I do have them going to the Super Bowl. Okay. I'm praying it's not against the Eagles because unless our interior offensive line improves, it's not going to be the Chiefs-Eagles game of the Super Bowl this past year, but I still think I'd give the edge to the Eagles, unfortunately. I think the MVP is probably going to go to Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow, it's his time next. He's going to be one to get it. They might sneak into the playoffs. That'll help him out a little bit, but that defense is awful. So, I mean, that'll be the main thing for Joe Burrow to get it done. I think my sneaky pick is that I really, really, really like the Patriots and the Broncos, two teams that could possibly sneak in to the postseason too. In the NFC, it's still the Eagles. It's still the Eagles.
I googled it. The Bengals, their new defensive coordinator is Al Golden.
Okay, yeah,
former Temple coach.
Yeah, so
coach.
That's who it was. I need a hot take for this year.
Hot take? Okay,
yeah,
I will give you a hot take. The Steelers will not be over 500 this year. I don't think they'll be over 500. I don't know how big of a take that is. They've been, 9-8 or 8-8 for the last umpteen years. Another hot take. I think that Jaden Daniels will be a finalist for MVP this year. I like Jaden Daniels.
Oh, so you think he builds on last year?
I think he builds on last year. He's just so good at decision making and being elusive. He reminds me a lot. No one really talks about this of Aaron Rodgers when he first started in the league. His ability to just maneuver in the pocket and make that strike. His decision making is crazy good. If he can improve upon that, I know a lot of filmers out there now for this year for the division to come at him, but I like Jaden Daniels to take a leap forward in this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
You kind of threw me off. You threw me off with the Steelers hot take because like you gloated about them a little bit because you were a little worried about them in division.
I'm worried about them, but I still think when it's all said and done, it's not going to happen for them. But I think the Ravens are going to beat. I think they're going 6-0 in the division this year. I don't think there's going to be a team in the division to beat them unless they have a hiccup, a whoopsie like they do once or twice a year. I think it's their division for sure. So
to the Browns or something.
So sticking to the division, what's your take on Shedeur Sanders? Do you think he's going to be the franchise quarterback for the Browns? Do you think he makes a team?
I think he makes a team. I think Joe Flacco starts week 1 for sure. If that offensive line plays well enough, Joe Flacco could play the entire year. I think he's just really that good where if he has protection, he's good enough. If not, they could hand the reins off to Shedeur Sanders. I think Shedeur is a great quarterback in terms of accuracy, but that arm strength, he needs to get the ball there quick enough for these DBs to not, pounce on. I think that's my only negative on him. That could improve, of course, over the years with training and, weightlifting and all that. But I think Shedeur makes a roster. I don't know if he starts this season because I think I'm still high on Joe Flacco. Maybe that's some Ravens bias, but I like Joe Flacco.
It has to be Ravens bias because I'm thinking like Joe Flacco, he's like he's 40, right?
Yeah.
So like if they're losing, they know they have to turn the page at some point and check out what they have in their future with Shedeur, right? If he did make the team. So I feel like he would have an opportunity if the Browns were like, I don't know, 3-7 or something, 3-9. They're just completely out of the race. They have nothing to play for. Like I don't see the Browns being that competitive this year.
Yeah, I don't think the Browns will be competitive. So that's actually a good point. Even though Joe Flacco's playing decent, if they're losing games, they might turn the ball over to Shedeur Sanders. So that is a very interesting take because, I think you got to give Sanders a shot. There's going to be so much pressure from the fan base.
Oh, yeah.
To start him. It's going to be crazy. So, that's probably one of the reasons why they didn't want to draft him in the first place. But it is what it is. He's a Brown now. He's looked good in the clips I've seen. So we'll see what happens in the preseason.
I'm a big Shedeur fan, man. I'm rooting for him. I love Dion. I like Shedeur. So I'm rooting for him though. But it's interesting that you said that about with his arm strength because I said this too, like with Jalen Hurts in his first year as quarterback, like I didn't feel like it was almost noodle arm. I felt more of it was his timing. It's the timing that they need to master to get to thrive in the league.
Did he come into the league with the criticism of his arm strength? Is that what it was? Hurts.
They were saying that in the beginning when he first came in, they were talking about him having like a not so strong of an arm. Okay. And I was saying that he doesn't have the best arm in football, but I don't think he has a noodle as an arm. I just felt like that there were certain things where it was timing.
Yeah, I could see that too.
Rhythm and timing. You cool?
I think Shedeur.
Why are you laughing?
No, I'm laughing because you say he doesn't have a noodle arm, but I always bring it back to that Hail Mary in the Super Bowl. It was like 20 yards short, bro. It was, dog. It was 20 yards short, and I can't get that out of my head. So when you say noodle arm, I'm kind of agreeing with it because I'm like, I've seen that pass in the Super Bowl. That was way short.
How many times Josh Allen threw a pass in the Super Bowl?
Oh man, that's crazy.
We're not doing this. We're not doing this.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, right?
You came at one.
That's messed up.
You came at one. And I actually forgot about that pass. That hurt.
I'm dead ass.
He really
That's exactly what I thought of.
He threw a Hail Mary to the 20.
That was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy. Oh, man. What else?
That's really it for me. I covered everything I really needed to. I love the hot takes. I want to get a clip of that.
Yeah.
For sure. That's coming out there.
Wait a minute, Sam. The Bills and Ravens play week 1, right?
Yeah.
Oh, Sunday Night Football, right?
We got to get you on the show that week or the week after, and we'll recap it.
Yeah, that'd be great. I would love to get on.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
The Tuesday.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Hell yeah. We have to. Like this is going to be electric.
I'm nervous. I hope the Ravens win. It'll make me feel better.
I
it's
feel
in
like
Buffalo.
It's in Buffalo. I was gonna say, and their schedule just breaks for them.
Yeah,
all their hard games are
at home.
Yeah,
we did a preview of their schedule and we were laughing at it because I'm like, oh my god, no wonder why they're favored in every game this year.
Yeah, they're going to be a problem this year, unfortunately. And the Ravens have a very tough first 6 games. I think they have like the Chiefs afterwards, and then they have I don't know. I think the Lions in that stretch too. Yeah, so they have a lot of tough games coming up for them.
Yeah, the Ravens. Yeah, the Ravens start off with the Bills, then they play the Browns, the Lions, the Chiefs, Texans, Rams.
Yeah, it goes on, dude. My hot take this year is that the Lions are the team that falls off.
Yeah, losing the offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, that's tough. I don't care how good your roster is. And their center, retired.
That's a problem. They're my team, and I felt like, but even so, like when you're 15-2. There's only room. You can only go down.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you go 13-4, that's a good season, but it's a down step from 15-2.
Exactly.
So I just feel like they lost too much, and that's my prediction. I think the Lions are in for a rough ride. Like the beginning of their schedule was brutal too.
Yeah.
To come out of the box. So, but that's all I really have, man. If Nick don't have anything, we really appreciate your time.
Man,
I really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and look forward to doing it after week 1.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the Ravens win so I can come in with a grin on my face. But take it easy on me if the Bills come up on top.
You know, man.
So, all right, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
Sam. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I appreciate you,
Take
bro.
it easy, man.
Peace.
See you.
All right, Phil, we're good.
You want to outro us or no?
Yeah. All right, we'll see you guys next Tuesday
that
or
was
Wednesday.
Samuel Njoku from the Ravens Talk podcast and P&I, baby. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
I'm caps lock different. It's facts, not fiction. Said I black out for real, then the track gone missing. If it's cap, I'm dipping. We ain't talking about a move, then it's flatline finished. When I spaz, I'm grinning. Put a peel off in the Sadies and I pass by spinning. It's perks with this life, but I don't have my skinach. Took a quick trip and now I'm back home winning. And I see they eyes pop like I snack on spinach. Pull up to the spot, she tryna grab my digits. I'm already 8 shots, a Henny past my limit. Here you go. Hazards with a dash full of tickets. I'ma act like I don't see them. I got bad eye vision.